Everyone deals with the death of a parent in their own way.
My fellow Americans.
For me, it made me want to know, how could this have happened?
We live in an age of anarchy.
Tear gas replaced textbooks on some college campuses today.
Great universities are being systematically destroyed.
We're dead serious that we're going to fight until imperialism is destroyed, and we're going to do that through concrete actions wherever we find imperialism, to fight, to open up a front, to bring the war home.
Telephone is completely jammed. Everything is just shot. Everything is chaotic down there.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
By order of President White, the university campus has been closed.
Get back. They ran away. They got it.
The National Guard go in with their weapons loaded.
It's my campus. We've been invaded.
Have we come to such a state in this country?
We got this girl shot.
Because she disagrees deeply
Blood coming out of her mouth.
with a government who authorized live ammunition to be brought against children.
National Guardsmen opened fire with semi-automatic weapons. The Guard says 16 or 17 weapons fired some 35 rounds. 4 were killed. After the shooting, one young man dipped a black flag of revolution in the blood and waved it about as a symbol of the students' anger and frustration.
Shooting deaths of 4 students at Kent State University aggravated campus tensions elsewhere. Other campus fires burned out an ROTC building at Washington University in St. Louis while students chanted, "Remember Kent."
There were only a handful of civil rights attorneys in the state of Missouri at the time. One of them was my father. So it wasn't too long before the phone at our home began to ring. As the demonstration moved across campus, students were sucked into a tornado of protest that grew into the thousands. The arrest continued over the next few days. One of those was my father's client, Howard Mechanic.
Howard Mechanic, I'll be the first one to tell you he did not set the fire at Washington University that night.
He was quiet, he would attend meetings, he was involved, but he wasn't a leader.
Howard was accused of throwing a cherry bomb at a policeman during the riot. Despite his denials, he was sentenced to 5 years in a federal penitentiary on a little-known law that had never been used before or since.
The clearest mandate we have so far in our legislative area is the anti-riot provisions of the 1968 Civil Rights Act.
They wanted to have an enemy to get rid of, and I was the enemy to get rid of.
Several major university disturbances have been incited by members of a small corps of professional militants.
It wasn't a lynch mob, but it was something close to it.
Bombers, the snipers, the burglars, the thieves, whether it's on the campus or off the campus, are criminals. They ought to be prosecuted and they ought to be jailed.
It is time for an honest look at the problem of order in the United States. In a system of government that provides for peaceful change, there is no cause that justifies resort to violence. So I pledge to you, we shall have order in the United States.
This was quite a hotbed of political activity during that time period. You have people who were classified as domestic terrorists. For the FBI, they were a high priority.
In a normal perspective on things, throwing cherry bombs doesn't rank up there with earth-shattering radical activities.
We could see signs that he was not going to serve his 5 years, and that he was preparing himself to disappear.
Howard became the second longest fugitive in U.S. history.
Good evening. My name is Gary Treadway.
And so again, I wonder, how could this have happened?
By far the most shocking aspect of this mounting crime problem is the role played by youth. It is the influence of godless communism. The forces of communism pervert our Bill of Rights. They hide behind a protective cloak of constitutional privilege while acting to destroy our freedoms.
The FBI's annual report released today says the new left political movement on college campuses has mushroomed into a major security problem. The report singled out SDS, the Students for a Democratic Society, as the main force behind the violence on the campus. Hippies and assorted dissidents who support the new left were charged by the FBI with talking about sabotage, violence, and the forcible destruction of certain key facilities.
One of the charges often leveled against radical groups like SDS is that they're communist-inspired. And then SDS and similar groups will say this is irrelevant. What do you mean by that?
Well, we're not communist-inspired. We're communists.
You are saying that you are a communist group.
That's right.
We drove up, one guy got out and tossed the bomb, and just as he tossed it, a plainclothes, unmarked car pulled up in front of us, and they jumped out and drew their guns and told us to get out of the car. You know.
What happened after you all got arrested?
They let me out the next morning and gave me $500. While I was making the bomb, I notified Blue Harris from the FBI and told him what was going on. He said, go ahead and do it and call him the next morning, you know. And he didn't care if anybody got killed or what.
This one detective, he threatened me. He said, I'm going to throw you in jail if you don't cooperate with us. And the FBI said, if there was a fire on campus, we could get in there and crush those communists that are on campus. Well, there's no communists on campus. There's just students who are concerned.
It was this bridge that I was instructed by FBI agent Bert Carter approximately December 2nd last year to blow up with 5 radicals and to ensure that the individual who set the bomb died in a booby-trapped explosion.
The late J. Edgar Hoover ordered a nationwide campaign to disrupt the activities of the New Left without telling any of his superiors about it.
The Defense Department admitted to a Senate committee today that it maintains files on 25 million Americans.
Most of what occurred took place under the code name Operation Chaos, conducted in basement vaults at the CIA under security precautions unusual even for the super-secret agency.
The Pentagon has joined the Secret Service, the CIA, and the FBI in the undercover investigative business.
If you take a position that is opposed to anything the government's trying to do, they're going to have people following you around. And that's a reality for all of us.
There were so many agencies involved in surveillance of anti-war activities that at times spies would trail spies.
Unrestrained, illegal, secret, intimidation, and harassment.
I thought we had a serious problem. I wasn't concerned about people who didn't like the war. I wasn't concerned about people who thought Nixon was allowed. We were talking about bombers. We were talking about assassins. We were talking about snipers. I felt something had to be done.
We have found this to be the endemic problem in the intelligence service. And this is always justified with elaborate arguments about secrecy, sensitivity, national security. And the end result of it all is such a chaos that the president himself can't govern or control the very agencies that are supposed to be upholding the law and protecting us against the enemy.
10 soldiers and Nixon's coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming. For dead in Ohio.
Now, I really wanted to know, how could this have happened? So I sued the federal government, and I made a film about it.
Consider the paradox of conformity alongside individuality. The millions of files on the actions and attitudes of private citizens, piling up with the help of computers inside the Army, FBI, CIA, Internal Revenue, certain congressional committees, and heaven knows how many other agencies and offices. At the rate this thing has snowballed, any citizen the government doesn't have a dossier on will have to conclude he's lived a fruitless life.